Hey, Chris Lipe here with how to battle discouragement and frustration when it comes to your voice, your singing, and the creative aspects surrounding it. It's such a common problem. Almost every vocalist has battled with this, specifically in the area of vocals. There's lots of ways to be discouraged, right, in life in general, and even lots of ways to be discouraged in terms of creativity, and that's not really what I'm talking about here or addressing specifically. I'm talking about with your voice. It's not behaving like you want it to. You're not able to do the things, even though you've been practicing and practicing and practicing, like you want to do them. You're not getting the sounds you want to get. What do you do to get over this and get excited about your voice and make music with your voice that you can really be proud of? If you are stuck, and even if you're not stuck, and you'd like more help working with your voice on a more personal level, the best place to start with me is by clicking the link below and joining my free voice course. There's lots of ways we can interact from there, but get started with the free course, and we can go further if you'd like to. All right, I said just a minute ago that you want to be able to make great sounds, make music that you are proud of. Ultimately, the goal is to be creatively engaged and make cool stuff with your voice, right? Herein lies my first tip for battling discouragement. Oftentimes, we get, in lots of different tasks, we get so focused on what we want to improve with our voice. Oh, I want to be able to sing higher, or I want to be able to sing with better distortion, or I'm frustrated that I've been trying to increase my vocal stamina, but I haven't been able to. We go down this sort of rabbit trail of self-improvement when it comes to our voice, and we kind of leave in the dust the things that we are already fairly good at with our voices. And so the first way to battle discouragement is to, in a sense, return to your roots. Return to what you know you're good at and be intentionally creative with that. Yeah, you may not have the range you want to. Yeah, you could probably have this huge laundry list of things that you've been working on, but take a vacation from that for just a minute and choose a creative outlet with your voice that caters to your strengths. Then, as you're doing this exercise, remember, you can always go back and revisit the self-improvement projects with your voice later. But if you give yourself the opportunity to return to your roots and to experience your voice for what it's good at and engage creatively with it, cover a song that you know you can sing. Make a great recording of it. Write a song that the melody doesn't speak to what you want to be able to do with your voice, but speaks to what you can do with your voice. I guarantee it. If you go down this road and you make a project that capitalizes on your vocal strengths, it can be so simple as just a cover song, a karaoke song, whatever. When you go back and try to work on those things that you're discouraged about, you will go back with a fresh perspective and a new bout of confidence. I've done this over and over again. I still do it all the time. When I'm working on something that's really difficult, I have to balance it with things that I know that I'm confident in and that I can do well. So that's the first thing. The second thing that you really want to wrap your mind around, and I deal with this in all sorts of different levels, life levels, and vocally for sure. Comparison is the enemy of contentment. Absolutely universal life rule. And we have so many problems with this in our culture, in our addiction to social media, in the fact that we can, in just 1 second pull up something on our phone that reminds us of how lowly and horrible we are and how amazing this other person is. We're bombarded with this by choice so often that this really does suck the life out of our creativity and absolutely out of our singing. Oh, I saw this guy do something on the internet and I've tried and I can't do that. Or I've been listening to this guy for years and I can't get to that level with my own singing. Remember I said just a minute ago that we need to return to our roots and capitalize on our strengths. We can't possibly do that if we're comparing our voice constantly to other people's voices. It's great to learn from other people's voices and try things with our own voices and see what happens. But at the end of the day, we have to accept that we have the voice that we have. And if we go into this idea of learning from other people, but not comparing ourselves to them, we don't know their battles. We don't know their journeys. In fact, most of the time we're listening to their voices recorded so meticulously, and we're comparing with our maybe somewhat less meticulous methods of recording. We just can't bring these comparisons together and have them do any bit of good in our own musical journey. Learning, yes. Comparing, no. And here's my third tip, and the final one for this video, although I've got more, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments in terms of how you have battled discouragement with your voice also. But here's a third tip. Stop focusing solely on singing, making the sound, and start focusing a bit more on vocal production. Now, that's a big phrase for some of us. I don't mean that you have to spend thousands of dollars on great vocal equipment. I do mean that even as you're listening to other vocalists and as you're trying things with your voice, don't just stop on how your voice sounds coming out of your face. Start recording yourself. Start taking tips that I've given on this channel and in my courses, even in my free recording course that I have available. Start taking some of these tips on how to capture your voice well. Doubling, harmonies, delays, effects, compression, saturation. All these things that we listen to all the time that help make other vocalists sound so great. Start experimenting with those aspects of vocal production on your own voice. You can really take something that doesn't sound totally mint that you've recorded and do a lot with it just by messing with the dynamic range of what you've recorded, or doubling it, or putting some effects on it, the reverbs, putting a rhythmic delay on it. And you know what else it does is when you get into these modes of putting effects on your voice and seeing how the textures work and sound, it starts inspiring other creative ideas that are not solely reliant on your skill as a vocalist. You want examples of this? Oh man, go listen to any song that Corey Taylor has recorded vocals on and really listen to it. Really listen for not only what he's doing with his voice, but all the subtle production aspects. Go out on YouTube and listen to the isolated vocals so that you really get a sense for how things are working. I've done a lot of videos on Corey Taylor and on other vocalists with isolated vocals on this channel. And so you can really hear the subtleties of what's going on from a production standpoint. But this is so helpful because it not only exposes the vocals for what they are, you get to hear them naked, well, almost naked, because you hear how the production elements that you don't hear when you're listening back to the album, you hear how these support the voice. This helps squash that comparison monster in us, so it feeds into the other tips quite a bit. We're pursuing creativity. We're not comparing. And by studying vocal production, particularly isolated vocals, we are putting our focus on the creativity and not necessarily on vocal skill. With other vocalists, and we're experimenting with what vocal production and tweaks and stuff like that can do for our own voices and being inspired in those textures. Throwing a delay on, a rhythmic delay, or trying our double or harmony, and just noticing, oh, I didn't think my voice could sound that cool. Actually, it sounds like something I heard on a record. Well, yeah, because you're starting to use some of the same methods. This is not a cop-out. This is how I've battled frustration with my voice for a long time. When I start trying to get good and I'm not getting good at something, be creative with my strengths. And then really dive in to aspects of other vocalists that inspire me and take it to the vocal production aspect to relieve some of the burden that singing good puts on me. Vocal production is a great way to do that. Again, you can get into that stuff really, really cheaply. These days, any DAW has tons of built-in effects. Any microphone will do. Just make sure your space isn't too echoey. Again, if you'd like more personal help with your voice, click that link below and join my free course. Hope you've enjoyed these perspectives. We'll see you for more.